Welcome to another explainer. You know, when we picture a military organization, we almost immediately picture unity, strength, and unwavering resilience. But today, we're going to look past that outer armor to unpack a critical and honestly often invisible crisis occurring deep within the uniform, the silent erosion of military morale. We really need to understand exactly why morale is dropping, how it fundamentally weakens an institution from the inside out, and what the data actually looks like on the ground. Let's get right into it. Section 1. Dissatisfaction in the uniform. Let's take a look at the very tip of this iceberg. The source material puts this incredibly starkly. Dissatisfaction within the uniform, the organization is weakening. I mean, wow. Before we get into all the massive data sets and institutional frameworks, we really have to humanize this issue. A uniform isn't just a piece of fabric, right? It literally represents the real human being inside of it. And when those individuals start feeling a profound sense of dissatisfaction, the very fabric of the entire organization begins to fray. The strength of the collective relies totally on the morale of the individual. Okay, let's dive into this specific number, 50.09%. This isn't just some random data point tossed around. This specific metric actually marks a critical tipping point. It's the moment where attrition and dissatisfaction officially outpace retention and stability. So what does that actually mean for us? It tells us we're no longer dealing with just a few isolated incidents or a handful of unhappy recruits. No, we've crossed over from a manageable headache into a systemic challenge that threatens the core operational capacity of the institution. Section 2. Signs of weakening. We're transitioning now from the individual perspective to the macro view. So we have to ask ourselves, how does this declining morale actually affect organizational readiness? Think about it. If the people required to respond to a major crisis are physically standing there, but mentally or emotionally completely checked out, well, institutional readiness absolutely plummets. It directly compromises the ability to respond effectively at a moment's notice. It's a massive vulnerability. Now, what's really interesting about the hard data is that when morale drops, people don't just complain, they leave. We are seeing stark, undeniable contrast between retention stability, that portion of the force that stays anchored and experienced, and structural attrition. And when these highly trained individuals walk out the door, they are taking years of specialized training and absolutely irreplaceable institutional knowledge right out with them. So the symptom of low morale isn't just a dip in the mood. It's a measurable, devastating structural loss of human capital. Section 3. Root causes of declining morale. Let's go beneath the surface of the iceberg to impartially examine the systemic drivers here. At the absolute core of this crisis is basically a massive collision. Recruits show up with all this intense idealism, patriotism, and a really profound sense of duty. That's their expectation of service. But then they are quickly met with the reality of service, the daily, structural, exhausting grind they actually face once they're fully inside the institution. And when the gap between that shiny expectation and the gritty reality gets too wide, morale just plummets. So what's driving this harsh reality? Well, first off, there's severe structural friction. Personnel are constantly being asked to do way more with less, constantly grinding against bureaucratic red tape. Add to that shifting institutional cultures, where the core values that literally drew a soldier in start to feel like they're shifting right beneath their feet. Couple all of this with leadership that often feels completely disconnected from the daily realities of the rank and file. The end result? Unprecedented burnout and mounting internal pressures. And to be totally clear, none of these are individual weaknesses. They are entirely structural, institutional flaws. Section 4. The broader impact. This is where we connect this internal military crisis directly to societal vulnerability. This entire situation creates a true domino effect. Let's walk through it step by step. First, a disgruntled, burnt-out individual soldier instantly decreases team efficiency, because units rely on ultimate trust, right? If one link is weak, the whole team slows down. Then, that inefficiency multiplies across thousands of units, creating a profound organizational weakness. Ultimately, an organization tasked with defense that is fundamentally weakened from the inside out translates directly into macro-level security concerns. It's wild to think about, but a single dissatisfied uniform literally snowballs into a massive societal-level vulnerability. Section 5. Rebuilding fractured ranks. Let's look at what it actually takes to mend this erosion. So the crucial point here is that you can't just slap a Band-Aid on this. You cannot simply offer a temporary financial bonus or roll out a flashy new motivational campaign and expect retention to magically stabilize. Repairing the foundation requires addressing those systemic root causes,
That means actually relieving resource strains and fixing massive leadership disconnects, not just treating the visible symptoms of attrition. To close that huge gap between expectation and reality, the institution absolutely has to commit to deep structural resolutions.
Which brings us to our final big question. Will the institution adapt in time to reverse this erosion? Or is this fractured reality simply the new baseline for the organization? If these root causes aren't addressed, this weakened state might just become the new normal. And honestly, that is a really sobering thought for any organization tasked with ultimate readiness. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.